just briefly, I'll just kind of say how I would have approached the spring season. Being a season where, the games, we don't have a tournament at the end of the season. You're getting football players, you're getting a lot of different kids, new kids that are, from your fall team. You're getting kids who have been sitting on the couch for winter. So I think your spring season, throw the wins and losses out the window and focus on the development of these kids. Focus on the fundamental skills that they need to succeed maybe at the next level. Your 8th graders, of course, if you have them, are heading to high school, so developing their skill set so they can come and try out for a high school team, I think is hugely important. I think it goes, I think we forget about that, and we have a couple of key players on our roster, and we kind of use them as the ones that we want to be our team, and we don't develop the other 12 players on the team. So develop all of them, help all of them, encourage all of them. You're going to have skill levels all over the map. So don't just roll the balls out in scrimmage. It does the kids no good, especially the ones who want to go further with their soccer career. I think the biggest disconnect between a club player and a kid sports player, from my experience, was seeing both in tryouts in high school, is just their fundamental skill set. Club players, yeah, they're playing all year round, but their touch, their trapping ability, their awareness, their field awareness, which is fundamental stuff at the older age groups, is much higher than kids coming out of this program. So I think to prepare them, the older ones, for down the road, I think you really need to, some of the kids don't even know proper technique of passing, of trapping, of dribbling. So touch on those things, don't make it boring. Obviously it's a fun season, but I think you need to revisit those. And maybe you'll have some kids come back to soccer that have been doing other things, and you'll light a fire, and they may, take that and go on. So I had a kid play for me this year, senior, who hadn't played since the 6th grade. He was the fastest kid I've ever seen, and so I knew immediately when he tried out, I said, I will figure out where to put you. But somewhere along the line, somebody had gotten to him and taught him just some simple fundamentals. He had a little bit, and then the speed, of course. I didn't know where to put him, so we tried him at defense, we tried him at midfield. He ended up being a forward. He ended up being our leading goal scorer, but he had told me, I say this because he said, well, I had a coach when I was growing up, and all we worked on was fundamentals, trapping, passing, touching the ball. I had a ball all the time, and I worked with it. Now, I quit playing soccer for years, from 6th grade to a senior in high school, and he was my starting forward. So the fun of the stuff that we do when they're younger is going to carry them through to the next level. Right? So if anybody has any questions, if anybody has any want for ideas of drills, I walk by a lot of practices all the time and over the years, and I think when I really learned what it was to be a better coach was when I stopped for once, and I didn't think I knew everything, and I watched a practice, and I forget who the guy was, but he was teaching some younger kids, and I just watched. He was doing a drill that I was just enthralled with, and I thought, we can learn from everyone. We can stop, and we may say, ooh, I'm not going to try that with my team because it won't work. But we all have something to bring to the table, and I've learned a ton from some of you. You may not know it. I walk by your practice, and I'll stand and watch and say, ooh, that's a good drill. So I think that's hugely important, and I think my goal as a kid sports coach has always been, how am I going to develop my entire team to have the opportunity to play in high school. That's been my goal. The winning is great. I love to win, but that's not what drives me to coach. So I want to see the kids successful, because I don't remember, all our kids' wins. I coached best boys for years. I couldn't tell you if we won championships or not. But I do know that the majority of those kids are now playing high school soccer. So if you have questions, or you can email me, I'll give you my email. And I am seriously an open book. I got a ton of stuff that doesn't involve standing in lines, which drives me nuts. Kids hate standing in lines. So you can ask questions now, email me, and I'll be happy to help with that. But
thank you, Ty.
Yeah.
Particular challenges that I've noticed, I picked up the boys team last spring, is that the range and skill levels that we get in kids sports. I mean, I have rudimentary skill level kids, and I have really high level skill kids. So my spring season last year, I focused on fundamentals.
Yeah.
And my good kids got bored, and they didn't come back to kids sports.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the things that I've been struggling with, is how do I develop? I mean, I'm one guy. I don't have assistant coaches.
Yeah.
How do I do this?
So I too struggle with that. I know a lot of you struggle with that. I know Jared right there also. What I would tend to do is take my A players and I would get them in a game. Whatever it may be, a little more advanced game, a 3-on-3 game or a possession game of some sort, and get them in a game. And if you have kind of a leader in the group, have them kind of take over. And then you work with the other players on the simple passing, or maybe it's a combination drill of some sort. But you put the A's and the B's together. And then when you scrimmage, this is going to be odd for a lot of you, you put the A's against the B's. And you make it, if you can play and you feel like you want to play, you play with the B's. Or you make the B's 7-on-5. But the B players will eventually, they have to produce in order to beat the A players. So their skill level will raise, because they're not saying, Johnny, the A player, if I pass to him, I'll just stand back and he can do his thing. So that's my suggestion, split them up that way. And yeah, they're going to know, but the more touches those B players get, and the more confidence they get without having the A player do it, they're going to get better, I think. So. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ty, I got a quick question.
That's right.
Just trying to think, one of our biggest challenges is since it's attitude. We talk about attitude and effort, and we just struggle with that as far as like maybe trying to motivate or coach that up, or penalize that, or discipline that. And then when some of our players are kind of yelling at other players, and they're getting upset, and it's just really a few kiddos that are struggling with keeping it positive.
Mm-hmm.
If we're winning, it's all fun and great, right? But hey, we're down by 3, and it's just still soccer. But so how do you approach that?
I don't make them run necessarily, because that's what soccer is running, and we want them to love to run, right? And what age group are you at? The older
5th, 6th.
5th, 6th. That's, I think that's one of the hardest. They're
in that transition.
They are totally in that transition, and the girls especially. I have a daughter who's a 7th grader, so I got a little perspective there. I would try to group them. I would try to do small stuff in smaller groups, and maybe pop around to 2 or 3 different groups, and the ones who are trouble, and the ones, and I would likely split them, and they would be mad at it, but then I'd switch, do thing to thing to thing. That's one thing that practices, I think, can be successful or not successful. The moment you lose one in a drill, let's do something else. There's water break, let's go do something else. Because eventually that one is going to be the one who gets everybody else down. And that goes for the little kids especially.
Just, I'll speak, I won't jump on top of your thing, but because I had a kid go through it, because I think I've seen stuff that you've done that you maybe don't know that you did, or from a kid's perspective, but praising, it comes from top down, right? Praising effort instead of like the win. Like honestly, I've seen Ty more upset about a win in play than a loss in play, right? So kids that will make a great effort and a great idea were praised, even though it maybe resulted in something bad. So that, I mean, it's not an overnight thing, but eventually they get that, like, you know, we talk about it, you know, it's the end result, not what's happening right now necessarily. So the win, that's great, but you know, we all know we play really great teams and lose and play out of your mind, right? And so getting the kids to understand like that it's the end result, and it's, you know what I mean, praising effort, praising great runs, you know, you know,
the ideas of the game. If you see that they see the ideas going on, let them know, because sometimes they do it and they're not knowing, and they're seeing a space and they're running to it. You know, one thing I was going to mention is for the older kids is teaching them how to move without the stupid ball. Okay, the ball is what everybody wants to go to and glob onto, but there's an entire field where they need to be and go, which will make them have success when the ball gets to them, because they've got room to move, room to play. But yeah, praise them when they do the good stuff. Like she said, I've been more ticked off about us beating a team 8-0 because we played terribly, you know, than if we lost, you know, 2-1. Yeah. So, anybody else?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thanks.